Hello and welcome everyone. I welcome you all to this another lecture of the Fortinet series. Now in this lecture we are going to see actually how to configure the Fortinet firewall. Now in the previous lecture, let me log into the console, close this one, not this lab. So we have this lab and open it. In the previous lecture, we have configured this router R6 and we have confirmed the reachability on the internet as well, right? Now, in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure this FortiGate, which is basically on the code 7.2. And other all three firewalls, this one, and this one, is on basically FortiGate version 7.0. So 7.0.9, I guess, if I right click on here and just unlock the lab first and then right click and then edit. So you can see this is on 7.0.9 and also the other two, these two which are behind the main firewall, they are also on the 7.0.9 code, but this one is on 7.2 code. Right, so the difference here is whenever you for example initialize, like start the firewall, both of these firewalls, right, they do have a limitation of the eval license obviously, but this 7.0 is pre-activated with the evaluation license, which is 15 days, but on the 7.2 it is not pre-activated, even though you will get an DHCP IP on the port 1. But once you try to log in on the GUI of that firewall, you will not be able to use the firewall unless and until you activate it. And the activation process is a bit different here, because here you get it by default, and you will see this in the upcoming lectures, that this is obviously, plug and play kind of stuff. But for this, you have to do certain steps before you can basically start using the evaluation license. So that is what we are going to see here. In order to do this, we will have to configure the ports obviously, and a bit of routing here, and we will do it through the CLI only, because the web GUI will not be accessible until and unless we activate the 15 days eval license. Now that license basically has certain limitations, and we will see what limitations it has. Now in order to achieve this, let's turn on the firewall and let me show you. When I access the CLI of the firewall, the first thing is it will ask me to log in, and the default is like admin and no password. Basically it should be a no password, yeah, but I think I have done a configuration of this just to show it how you guys will have it. So I'll just wipe the FortiGate firewall, right? We do have a CLI command also to do a factory restore, but we will show that in the upcoming lectures. But here you can just right click and select wipe, so that it's completely kind of formatted. Now once you have wiped the device, you can just right click and start here. And now after that, you will get a IP on the port 1, because we have connected this to the management cloud, and you should get a DHCP IP handed over by the DHCP server, which are local this router, right? So let's wait here. You can see the serial number here of the firewall. It's booting now, and by default, as you know, the username is admin, and we have a blank password, so we will just hit enter here. Once we hit the enter, it will ask you to input the new password, and you can set it as you like, whatever password you want. So I have a password which I will enter twice to confirm it, and now I'm inside the firewall. Now here there are a couple of commands to check the interface configurations. One of those are the show system interface. This is one of the command where you can see the configuration of all the interfaces. Here I can see port 1, which is my management, port 2, port 3, and port 4, port 5 extra, right now this is not licensed, so you can see all the ports here, but once it is licensed, you will have only 3 ports. That is why I have only 3 ports used here. Now you can see on port 1, by default the mode is DHCP and the VDOM is root. We will talk about VDOM in the upcoming lectures. And as you can see, the allow access, which allows actually the ping, HTTPS, and HTTP, and SSH, and the FGFM, which is used for the Forti manager. Now we will wait. Now if you want to see what IP has been configured on the interfaces, there's a different command, which is get system interface physical. So with this you will be able to see the IP address configured on the interfaces. Now due to the fact that we have a DHCP enabled, and I got this IP handed over by the DHCP server, so 189, remember. So I'll just use this IP to access the GUI of this firewall, right? And you can see I can basically access the GUI, but then the problem is here. Once I do this and then I see this, right? So it is not letting me access the GUI of the firewall, while as when you will see in the next videos, when I do this, you can directly go to the firewall and start configurations, etc. But here the first step is to activate the eval license. Now in this, the whole video is about only this one, how to activate this eval license so that you can use this for 15 days. Now you can see a couple of things, basically the restrictions which you have once you have the evaluation license, which is one main thing is the support for low encryption operation only, right? So this is the reason why we are not able to do properly the SSL offloading or decryption, and because of that we will not be able to basically what do you say, verify the profiles that we attach to a policy, right? The antivirus profile, all those URL filtering profiles, everything. So that is the reason why. And on top of that, you have a limitation of only using one CPU and 2 GB of memory max on a evaluated firewall. Now on top of that, you have maximum of 3 interfaces. That is why we have the 3 interfaces, and the number of policies that you can configure also has limitations, and the routes etc as well. And also obviously you will not have a FortiGate support here. So that is the limitations of the eval license. Now in order to activate this license, first thing what you need is you have to go to support.fortinet.com. This is the first website that you need to go here, and then register for an account if you don't have one. Now if you have one, then you can just directly go and click here. Now registration is fair and simple. You just go and follow the wizard there. You can basically register this with your personal Gmail address as well. Now I have already registered here, so I'll just enter my credentials here. Okay, so I'm inside my dashboard. So the most important thing is the dashboard. Here you can see how many devices is been registered in your account, and the second most important is my assets under the products, right? So you go here and you can see all the firewalls that have been registered here. Now the limitation here is only one firewall, one evaluation firewall per account. So if you want to have multiple firewalls at the same time, not possible. But once you are done with one firewall, just deassociate or decommission that firewall from the FortiCloud. I'll show you how you do that, and then re-register the new firewall. Okay, so and also once you have the FortiGate firewall basically added to your FortiCloud here, you will see all the vulnerabilities found on your firewall in here. Okay, and this is from my previous basically devices registered, so it has stored into my FortiCloud account. So this is one thing is pretty cool about this FortiCloud account, even if it's not a what do you say, partner based. It's just a, you can say, public account, right? Okay, so first thing is this, right? Second thing is to configure the interface on the FortiGate and also routing etc. So if you go here, the first thing is if you have so here we have a DHCP IP handed over to this firewall, correct? And obviously we will have a default gateway and DNS everything configured. So if I do execute ping from this firewall to say that 8.8.8.8, it will work, right? It will go through this okay, let me show you. It will basically go through the port 1 only management, but we don't want it. We want our FortiGate to forward the data traffic through port 3, which will go to R6, and from R6 it will be forwarded to the internet, correct? So that is the way we want our routing to be in our lab. Now in order to achieve that, we will be able to only do one thing is, we have to set the IP as DHCP here, where on the sorry, from DHCP to static. Now before that, what we can simply do is to register the firewall is we go here and we enter our credentials that we used here to log in here. Simple, right? So just enter the credentials here. But make sure before that the what do you say, the DNS is working properly. So I'll say okay here. How do we config basic confirm is requesting FortiGate trial license proxy, like that. So we can do execute ping to domain, which is www.google.com, right? And it is basically happening, correct? So it was not able to basically let me try the credentials. Maybe I have a wrong credential, and I'll say cross to that and okay to this. Okay, sometimes what happens is you just need to refresh it, and if it's not working, do it once more. Okay, do this. I hope I am not entering my password wrong, credentials wrong. Let me try a different credential. Okay, couple of things can be the reason. One can be the serial number that I'm using is already used. So in that case, what I can do is I can just go here on this firewall. I can delete the firewall, add a new firewall, and then that should work, right? I'll stop it. Port 123. Remember, port 123. Delete this. Yes, and right click node. Say FortiGate, and then I'll say 726, 722, whatever I want. Let's say 721. Okay, and I can have a 2048 here. Okay, and save. And now once I have this, I'll say port number 1 goes here, port number 2 goes here, port number 3 goes here. Okay, and then I'll just move it here so that I can just wipe this once more and start it. Okay, let's give this a shot. So once I have this ready. Okay, again admin, and then okay, this is wrong because the username entered was wrong. So let's say admin password blank, and then I can enter my password that I want to set, confirm the same password. The password should match. Once this is done, I can say get system interface, maybe physical, right? So I think I accidentally closed it, the putty. Okay, seems the fortinet just went off. I don't know. Let me turn it back on. Okay, admin, the new password that I set. Okay, and get system interface physical, which will give me the IP address, and the IP address is 189. So let me just do this, and admin and the password that I set, and then evaluation license, or let me just go here just to check the connectivity. Execute ping on www.google.com. This is working fine. I'll go here enter the credentials, and then the FortiCloud credentials basically you need to enter here. And once I do this, this should basically reboot the system. As I said, maybe I had done the evaluation before that, so that is why the system was giving me error with the serial number. So this is a new serial number, a software generated serial number. Basically, it's not a physical serial number. So yeah, and this is the process. Once you do this, then you will have access to the full-fledged GUI of your FortiGate firewall. Once we have that, we will configure the interface, and then we will configure a static default route through the outside interface, which is port 3, not through. We should not have connectivity through port 1 basically. Okay, we'll change that as well once this is done. Okay, and also once you are here, right, in the assets, you will see this firewall here in your dashboard. So that is one cool thing about it. Okay, so this has rebooted, it seems, and I will go and say admin without any spaces, make sure, and then the password that I've set. Okay, I'm here inside the exactly. So this is what I want to see, and I'll say begin, and this is my basically FGT1 like this, and okay, and okay, and that's it. I'll say don't show this again and click on OK. So this is what I want to see, right? And you can see here on the right side it says evaluation VM license. I have already allocated 2 GB of out of 2 GB, and I have 1 vCPU, and interface also. If I go here, I will see only 3 interfaces. Okay, 1 2 3. So even though if I have 4 5 whatever, I will see only 3 here, which is the max because of the evaluation license that I have. Now if you go to the dashboard and see the network, you will see the interface IPs here, which we will change. Obviously this is what I got from the DHCP, so I will change this. Now in order to change that, first thing we will do is to change the management IP, right, on the port 1. So I'll go here, click on edit. The first thing I need to do is to change it from DHCP to manual. Now we can do this on the CLI as well. If I go here, say admin, and log in as the password, okay, FGT1. Now in order to do this, you just have to, first of all, is if you do say show interface, let me see, no, interface is not there, so you can say maybe you can do the show full configuration, show or you can go into the, okay, it's simple. So you go into the configuration of the interface, so you say config system, right, and then you say system, and then you say interface. Okay, then you say a show here, and you will see all the configuration of your interfaces. Now if you see here, port 1 is what, mode as DHCP. Now we have to change this to mode as static. Okay, now on the GUI you can do is from here, right, just DHCP to manual. Now from the CLI, how you can do is now you can paste, you are already in the interface configuration, correct, you are in the interface configuration. Now you just have to say edit port number 1, enter, right, and then you say set mode, set, and then mode, and you say instead of DHCP you say static. That's it. Once you do that, you change the mode from manual to static like this. Now if I do a refresh here, still basically I've not changed the IP, so it will not reflect it there, but I have changed the mode from the DHCP to static. Now after that we can do a set IP here. Set, if you hit a question mark, you will see a lot of things. Once of that, one thing in all of this is the IP. So you do a set IP, right, and then you specify the IP that you want. So in this case we have the IP as 192.168.1.50 for this FGT1. You click on set and then done. Okay, because we don't want a default route on this, right, we don't want our firewall to reach internet through our management port. That's it. Now if you want to go out of this, you either you say next or end. Next, it will take you to one step back, which is your interface configuration. Again next, or you can just simply say end to get out, exit off out of the interface configuration as well. Now if you see the same command as like get system interface physical, remember to get the IP of the interfaces, you do that. Now on your this thing, you will see on the port 1 the mode is changed to static and the IP is now .50. Now if you see on your back side that the access has been lost because it's on not on 189, now it's on 50. I'll change the IP and access with the credentials back into my GUI. Right now if I go and go to the network on the dashboard, right, I will see only one IP here, which is my basically because of the port 1 IP. I'm not able to see the default route because I haven't configured that statically. Now in order to do that, it's simple. Again, if you want to do it what do you say through the interface configurations, here you can do that as I've shown you. Now we can actually set the to traffic, right, which is we have allowed ping, maybe we have allowed now if you want to check that we don't have any IP on port 3. Let's do IP on port 3, configure an IP on port 3 through CLI. So we'll go to the config system interface again, and then see edit port number basically 3, which is our external this, right, and then we'll say set mode as equal to static, correct, and then say set IP, which is going to be 123.1.1.50/24, correct. So this is what we want here, right? And also we will do a show here just to check the interface configurations here on this port. Once I'm inside that port, if I hit on show, it will show the configurations of that interface. Now you can see I don't have ping allowed here, right? So if I go to my R6, let me turn on R6. Now I've turned on R6. From here I want to show something. It's quite basic, but maybe for some of you this is important to understand. But when I enable, okay, so I am on my R6 now. From here, if I try to ping 192.168.1 dot sorry, not 192. So if I try to ping 123.1.1.50, which is the next hop IP for this R6, right? This is port 3, this is E00, and I should be able to ping it, right? I'm not, because I'm not enabled the ping on that interface. So if you see, set allow is not shown here. Now you can do a set allow here to enable ping here. Once you do that and try the ping again, this should be allowed. Okay, and I do end, and I do execute ping and do 123.1.1.1. From this I can ping this. Now from here I should be able to ping this as well, correct? So both ways I'm able to ping because I have set the allow access to ping. Okay, so this is like the to traffic that you allow on that port. Okay, so this is one thing I wanted to show you. Now if you want to see the router what do you say, the routes, I've shown you how to see it through the GUI. Now if you want to see the same from the CLI, you have a command called get router static. Okay, so you can do this, or you can have static 1 if it's configured. So you can do this in order to check the routes configured. Now in order to configure the route, it's simple, right? If you want to do that, you can do from here, and you can configure a static route, come here and create a static route on the GUI. Now if you want to do the same on the CLI, I want to show you here. Okay, so on the CLI you just go to the config router static. So you go into the router configuration mode. Okay, and you can specify I mean, now once you are in the router configuration mode, now you basically create a um, entry. Okay, so entry number 1, which says set the destination. First of all, we have to set the destination, which is basically denominated by DST. So for my default route, it is going to be all zeros, correct? Anywhere /0. This is my destination I've set, and um, the port that I want my traffic to go through is port 3 here, right? port 3, like this. I've set the port here, which is done through this one. If I click on plus here, that will give me an option to select the port 3. Okay, then I set the default gateway. So you see the gateway address here, which is done on the CLI using the set gateway address, which is 123.1.1.1, next hop of my router, right? And then I can also set a comment, which is this line, right? Set comment, say this is like static route through edge router, something like that. Okay, done. And then you can enable disable, which is like status enable disable, right? Which is by default enabled when you configure that, but you can set the status as enabled or disabled from here. Let's say enable, right? Enter. And also you can maybe set the administrative set. If I click on this, you can see the priority here, right? You can set the distance, which is this AD by the distance keyword. Okay, so all this you can do, but I've done already this one. Now if you do execute, so I have to get out of this router configuration mode. Now in order to check this, if it has taken the configuration, saved it, right? So you have the command show full configuration and then router static, right? So you can see all those commands that we entered have been saved in the configuration, right? The gateway, the destination, the port, device 3, the comment, right? So this is what we need right now. If you do execute ping to 8888, now it should send it through the port 3. Now because we don't have any default route port pointing through the management, it should go through our um, edge router now, right? So this is working fine. Now in order to configure the DNS, you can do it from here, or you can say show show full configuration. Maybe we have the system and then DNS. Okay, yeah. So we have the primary and secondary set as these two. Okay, which is by default, and once you have the internet reachability, the firewall will try to ping these and check the reachability. Now you can see this from the DNS option here in the network. Now if you have see this in red, that means you have to I mean there is a huge latency, correct? So we can just click on specify to override this and say we will go with 8888, or you might point it to the next edge router, which is 123.1.1.1 again, to do this, right? And set and apply. Now to do the same on the CLI, it is quite simple. You just go to the DNS configuration mode, which is entered by saying config system DNS, and then you set the primary and the secondary. Set primary and then the the IP. Okay, like this, say I will change to 4.2.2.2, and I'll set the secondary to maybe my next hop fire this edge router. Okay, so if I do the same here and do a refresh here, it should be changed from 888 to, okay, it doesn't change here. Maybe I do IPAM and then DNS. Strange, right? Should be changed because I did a change there. Okay, maybe when I do end here, or then if you can do the show full configuration command, and I can see it has changed from 4. Okay, so if I go back maybe in my status and go back to network and say DNS, correct, I have changed it. Maybe it takes time on the GUI to So I can see there's a again what do you say, latency here. So we can change this back 8.8.8 maybe, and go to dashboard, network interface, right, and DNS. Okay, so I see this is like very low latency, and this is also quite of acceptable, right? Okay, so this was the configuration on the firewall 1, FGT1, right? We have configured the management address here on port 1 statically. We configured this port 3. Now we have to configure the port 2 as well, which we can do through the GUI interface. So you have port 3. Now go to port 2, edit. Now this has to be on the 10.10.10 subnet with 10.10.10.50 as the IP here. So we can say we have manually 10.10.10.50/24, right? And maybe we'll enable ping for this, and that's it. Hit on OK. Correct. So we have configured this firewall, and also if you want, you can just go and configure a policy here, firewall policy. Just allow all policy. Now we might cover that later, but yeah, as of now we are able to access the firewall GUI, and we do have a reachability of the firewall through the edge router. So yeah, so that would be all for this video, and I hope you like this lecture. I will see you in the next lecture. Until then, bye bye, take care.